Hey guys, welcome to the Lunge Lift podcast. Today we've got a timely episode for you all about how to approach the CrossFit Open. Whether you are a competitive athlete expecting to get to quarterfinals or beyond, or this is your first Open, or you're anybody in between, we've got some tips for you in terms of how you should look at the Open and how to get as much out of it as you can. So stay tuned if you're looking to do so, and maybe share it with somebody who's going to do the Open that could benefit. But before we get into it, as always, a big thank you to our show sponsors, thetrainingstimulus.com. Please check out the website if you work in fitness and are looking to improve your clients' results through movement mechanics. wit-fitness.com. Check out the website and use discount code LL15 to get 15% off your WIT kit. And Hydro, use our discount code LL20 to get 20% off your blood flow restriction apparel. Right, let's get into it. Rob, CrossFit Open.
It's very soon, right?
Yeah, a few days away by the time this is released.
Yeah, I mean, what's funny is I performed some workouts recently, and I've definitely got a little bit more intrigued by maybe doing this year's this year's Open. Maybe not entering it properly, but maybe putting myself through the ringer and just seeing what it's like to do those kind of workouts again, because there's a unique feeling about the Open which I do love, and it's that kind of like that community feel of just like everyone pushing you through a very challenging workout, and you know that everyone's going through that same feeling. For me, like, that was such a unique thing where it was just cool. I really, really enjoyed it. I mean, you've done a fair few Opens in your years as well, haven't you?
Yeah. I think that's the key thing. There's something very bonding about communal suffering, is how I think about it. It's like the analogy I have is, if you have a massive night out and everyone stays in the same house and everyone's hungover together, that's actually very bonding.
Yeah.
I think the CrossFit Open's quite similar in that everybody goes through this ordeal together and then everyone's wrecked on the floor afterwards. And because you've had a similar experience, you feel closer to everybody else
Yeah.
who's done it, even if you're nothing like each other, which is, I think, special in the fitness industry. So I always like, even if I'm not competing, I like going down for open attempts and judging and helping out in that sort of stuff, because there's always some open magic that happens.
Yeah, it's always really cool because, again, you get like people's first muscle ups, people's first handstand push ups or whatever, like all these quite high skill things that they might just fluke, but the energy and the way they feel is just so, you just feel so good off that. You, as you say, it's that combined feeling of everyone working together, even if you're not the one that's actually doing the workout. You, especially if you've done workouts like them in the past, you can appreciate the suffering, and you can appreciate the discomfort that they're in, that burden that they're rolling around on the floor, and just like, this hurt, everything hurts. I'm like, yep, I've been there, and this is why I don't do it anymore. But it's just really cool. So I'm really looking forward to this year's Open and seeing if I do any of the workouts, if they're not too crazy. But for how many people would you say, when it comes to doing the Open, needs to really think about taking this really seriously? Because the CrossFit Open itself, I think the way people take the workout dictates a lot, because there's either you're going to have a whole bunch of stress added to it, like outside of the actual session itself, because you're worrying about, okay, how good other people are doing or this, or what about if you're like the elite? Because I know, like Fraser, like Matt Fraser all those years back, said he wasn't even peaking or even ready for the thing, and he won. He was number one in the world. So it's like, so at what point do we have to start worrying about doing things like peaking or anything like that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it varies massively by the individual as to, like, if you're a competitive athlete, you obviously need to take it seriously. But the way we're going to break it down is into 4 different categories of athletes as to how you should adjust your approach. And actually, if people are new to the sport of CrossFit, it might be surprising to hear that the best and most serious athletes probably don't take the Open as seriously as the second category of sort of bubble athletes, is how I refer to them, where they're trying to make the next round. And for everybody, the other 90%, let's say, it's basically a personal choice as to how seriously you want to take it. And I think a lot of people feel obliged to take it more seriously than they should, just because a lot of other people at the gym
Yeah.
might be being really serious and acting like a professional. And you're under absolutely no obligation to do that. At the end of the day, your fitness and your body should be used how you want to use it. So if you're training for general fitness and fun, then you should treat the open like that. But if you're a competitive person and you like to throw down, you like to see where you measure up against your peers, there's absolutely nothing wrong with taking it super seriously. But we've got a few bits of advice for how to manage yourself if that's your approach, because there's some common pitfalls which, are easily fallen into. So, should we start with the Uber competitives, or have you got something else
Yeah,
to say?
I think that'd be good, and I think what would be really good to clarify, especially if you're still in your early days of CrossFit or don't actually know the route. Generally, the levels at the moment is the open is open for all, hence why it's called the open. They want everyone to enter and perform the best thing you can. So do the best you can in your workout, and if you, I believe, it's if you're in the top 10%, you go on to quarterfinals, which is then essentially like regionals. So where you go to a competition, but
So qualify for regionals.
oh, is it the qualifier for regionals? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So you
Yeah.
get then the quarterfinals, that's it, and then the semis are yeah. So the quarterfinals, which is say the top 10%, then you qualify into regionals, and then regionals you go to the games. If you're in the top, like I think it's like the top 3 or top 5, depending on the area, or top
Depending on
1,
where you are.
depending on where you are in the world and the amount of spaces that your region has. So there's quite a few levels to get to the games, and obviously at the games there's the top 40 athletes, top 40 males and top 40 females. So they've got quite a vast way of kind of trying to find out who is the fittest. So obviously, if you are number one, is if you are competitive and are expecting quarterfinals, how you should approach the CrossFit Open is probably a little bit different to what most people think that probably aren't at that level.
Yeah, so I think this is changed in recent years because of this new qualification system and the top 10%. In that previously there were other ways to qualify for the later stages of the CrossFit Games process, in that if you came first in your country, then you would get an automatic qualification spot. And that meant that for the best athletes in the world, it might be worth going for that to then take pressure off the later parts of the season, because you've got your game spot guaranteed. You can actually just focus on your training rather than peaking for qualifiers or anything
Yeah.
like that. Whereas now, because it's just top 10%, if you're very good at CrossFit, you're probably going to coast through the open and naturally get top 10% just because your baseline fitness is so good. So for those people who are like looking at semi-finals and beyond, there's actually very little they need to think about for the open. It's just another workout. For these types of athletes, it'll be very rudimentary for them. It'll be one of several workouts they do that day, so
Yeah.
they won't be thinking about peaking. It'll still be quite early in their macro cycle for peaking for potentially the semi-finals of the games. So they'll just cruise through it, not need to adjust training too much, maybe not even have a light day the day before, and not do any repeats, because their scores should comfortably get them top 10% in all 3 of the workouts. So the main thing I think these athletes should be focusing on is practicing how they strategize a workout. So because they'll do it one and done, they need to look at the workout and use their understanding of their own fitness to decide on their round timings, like what sort of pace they're going to start at, what their break strategies are, and just dial in that feeling of listening to your body within the workout. So can you go faster, or did you start too fast? Do you need to slow down? All those tiny details, treating it like it's a proper competition workout where you only get one shot, I think is the best application of the open for these elite workouts. But beyond that, they don't really need to think about it very much. Just get it done. Don't forget to submit your score, and then move on with your day.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I remember back in like our CrossFit days and how like I think you used to take it as seriously as that, like you expected you was going to be going far, and you devote so much. And because back then it was 5 weeks worth of training, that you'd end up losing a massive chunk of your year's worth of quality training, trying and stressing about this one workout that you might repeat. And it's funny because now, having to say it's the top 10%, it has massively taken that stress off. essentially just helping people. And I think that was also one of the reasons why they did it, right? Because they spoke about like athletes' well-being and like just saying like how to be continuously peaking like just means they don't get to much recovery time. And
Yeah.
if they want to get the most out of their athletes, whether it's at the semis or at the games itself, they need them to be able to have a bit of an off season or an improvement
Yeah.
season to be getting stronger and allowing their body to recover from the stress that they put themselves under later in the year. So,
Yeah.
so
Exactly.
I guess if you are competitive and you're hoping for quarterfinals, this is a tricky one, because I guess this is where you probably should peak to some degree, right? You should probably be thinking about, okay, this is coming up in the middle of February, so you should have already had that in mind, thinking about that at the quarterfinal, saying, right, okay, my training needs to be leading up, building my fitness now should be coming well into a good state around this sort of time of the year. So coming into that end of January, you should be feeling pretty fit, and everything's kind of more of a fine-tuning state now.
Exactly. Yeah. So the second tranche of athletes, we'll call these bubble athletes with regards to the quarterfinals, and these are people who maybe just missed out last year, so they were 11 to 20%, let's say, so that second 10%, and their goal is to qualify for quarterfinals. So hopefully they reviewed their training last year, planned the year leading up until now, and are looking to peak, because they will need to give their best performances to break into that top 10%. So hopefully training's gone well this year. You've been ramping up the intensity, and you're going to go into each open workout absolutely ready to perform. So you are looking to absolutely give your everything in your first, and I would recommend at least the second repeat, because you are trying to absolutely maximize your position on the leaderboard. So repeating is controversial, is probably an overstatement, but people disagree on whether people should repeat or not. If you're trying to get your best possible score, you should definitely repeat. You learn so much from doing a workout once that you should always improve in the second time. It's very rare that somebody executes absolutely perfectly first time round. So the classic is doing it on the Friday and then the Monday. But because you're going to repeat, one common mistake for this tranche of athlete is that they'll go a bit too easy in the first attempt.
Yeah.
And that actually compromises the quality of data. So what I mean by that is, when you're analyzing your tape from your first attempt to see where you could potentially do better, if you went easy, you don't actually get authentic data on what you're capable of. Whereas if you push yourself and risk going too fast, which actually I think is a good thing, you'll know where your line is, where your threshold is. Say it's a 15-ish minute piece, you do rounds, you start off with rounds of 230 and you slip down towards 330. You know that your sustainable pace is somewhere between those two numbers. But if you went too easy and you just did 330s from the start, you finish with a slow time, you actually don't know where to pitch yourself in the repeat. And we did a really detailed episode on this about this time last year called How to Win Workouts. We'll try to link to that in the show notes, where we go into real detail on planning your workout the first time round, but also crucially the review process of analyzing your tape to see how you can do better second time round. And if you do what we recommend in that episode, you should guarantee adding to your score, unless by some miracle you fluked a perfect execution, which I'm yet to see.
Well, you say that. I mean, I remember one of the workouts that I did a couple of years, well, obviously back when I was in the Open, and it's not I executed it perfectly the first time. It's just I executed the second time and thought, fuck this, and then actually ended up getting I only then beat my score, I think, by 2 reps. And it was, no, I know it was, but it's just like, when it was the workout where it was, the hand clean and press come in. So it was like, single hand clean and press. It was rowing, hand clean and press, and I think toaster bar. Yeah, it was that. And I remember, and only beating it by 2, whatever it was, by 2 reps. And I was just like, this is funny, because I think this is then where, in this category where I felt I was competitive, and I then put I put my expectations of I should have done better, and now only beating myself by 2 reps, but I'm then comparing myself to others, which obviously is a massive thing. And this is when you're in this area. Obviously, it is important to kind of look around at your peers and people that are training, but at the end of the day, you can only perform as good as you can. And this is when the psychology of competing really comes in. And this is where, as we've spoken before about like leaderboarding, where
Yeah,
you're not where you're looking at everyone else's scores. You're thinking, okay, why are they better than me? I'm better than them normally. Why have I not? And then you start over analyzing your own stuff, and you're like, well, if you push as hard as you can and you've done a repeat, it's as good as you can do. Maybe it just wasn't the
exactly.
workout for you that day, and
Yeah,
hopefully you can then obviously do better in the next one. But it's such a it can be a very stressful time. And my version of that was then competing against the other people in the gym, right? It was competing, and you always knew Gus was going to win. So it was just like, cool, how much better could you get than, say, for me at the time, it was me, Tom Bliss, and say, it was really me versus Tom Bliss. So that was it back there. So it was a cool time because it was a real competitor to kind of work against.
yeah,
And but it can add a whole new level of stress for you.
yeah. First, I just want to quickly cover off your 2 extra reps. That made it worth it.
No,
If
I
you're
know,
this
I
person,
know.
you're in the bubble,
Yeah,
2 extra reps could be a huge number of leaderboard places.
yeah.
So you vindicated the decision to repeat, and it might, like, going through a lot of pain to get 2 extra reps for most people isn't worth it. For like the elite people, getting those 2 extra reps when they're comfortably in the top 10% is a
Mm,
waste of time. And for people who don't particularly care about their ranking, it's a waste of time. But if you're bubbling and you're trying to get in, every last position can count over 3 workouts.
yeah.
So that's why we recommend repeating for
Mm.
this bucket of people. But yeah, on the leaderboarding point, I think it's the double-edged sword of the competitive part of CrossFit, in that the competition inspires you to push yourself harder than the absence of competition. But then psychologically, some people really stress themselves out because they're so caught up in a comparison mindset that yeah, it affects how they feel about themselves
Mm.
significantly if they are doing worse than somebody they think they should be better than. So there's not a clear cut recommendation for um, how to look at the leaderboard and see how you measure up. At the end of the day, it comes down to how important your CrossFit performance is to your life. And for some people, it's super important; it's their
Mm.
careers. But for other people, it's more just um, an ego exercise. But I think it's a big part of the fun,
Oh, it
personally, in
is.
that,
Yeah.
who's the pecking order in the gym gets established at the open, and there's not
Yeah.
really any argument. Well, there are arguments
Yeah.
because judging and everything
Yeah.
comes into it. But I think my stance on leaderboarding for most people is do it as little as possible. Like, you don't want to be refreshing your phone as scores come in on the Thursday night and Friday morning when you've still got the vast majority of people yet to submit a score. You always get
Mm.
that classic wanker who posts a screenshot because they're like fifth in the world
Yeah.
because 6 people have submitted scores. Um, but yeah, I think if you're able to see it as motivation rather than driving, feeling bad about yourself, then yeah, embrace the competitive side of the
Yeah.
open.
No, I definitely think embracing because it helps you push yourself in your performance, and even if you're not ending up at quarterfinals, you've still then been able to push yourself as hard as you possibly can, and that is awesome. So I
Yeah,
guess it then kind of leads into our third one, where if quarterfinals aren't really realistic. So
yeah,
if I'm coming into this now, so if I do the open now in 3 weeks' time, I've got 3 weeks to prepare. I'm not expecting myself to get to the quarterfinals, but you never know. So what would be some of the things I should be thinking about here?
yeah. So um, it sounds maybe a little bit demeaning to say if the quarterfinals aren't realistic, but to put this in context, this is 90% of people.
Yeah.
So it's the majority of people will be in this category, and if you hope it's realistic, then obviously the previous category applies to you. But if potentially not, the first thing you need to do is decide how much you actually care about your ranking. If you want to maximize your ranking, and for you it's important that you get in the 33rd percentile rather than the 34th percentile, then just do exactly the same as we said for the bubbling athletes to maximize your performance, and that's great. Like, have at it, enjoy it, make the most of it. But if it's maybe not that important to you how you rank, then you basically need to just think about, what are you optimizing for? Are you optimizing for fun and enjoyment? Are you optimizing to test yourself and just push closer to your limit than you might do in normal training to see where your strengths and weaknesses are, where things start to break down? Like, maybe you've just got double unders and you want to go as hard as you can in a workout to see if your double unders hold up. You want to see if you can unlock a new gymnastics movement. These are the sort of open magic moments that are awesome because, like I say, it's a special time of year that people tend to find something a bit extra. But in terms of practical advice around peaking, most people will be doing CrossFit classes, which should have a annual periodized plan. So it should naturally be leading you into the open, and the week leading up to each working can't talk today. The week leading up to each open workout should be structured to allow you to perform well whenever your gym does it, on the Friday or the Saturday typically. So you don't really need to think too much about peaking. Train as normal through the week, maybe have a slightly easier session on the Thursday. But the key pitfall here is, don't tear your hands. So in
Yeah.
preparing for the open, a lot of people will up their gymnastics volume really suddenly, and then you get a rip. And that's probably the worst thing you can do going into the open. You want nice hands. So definitely feel free to train hard going into it, but make hand care a priority.
Yeah, I think that for me is when you're starting to think about that hand care as well. I remember like ripping my hand in the first workout of or it was first or second one, and just like I wanted to repeat it. I knew it was going to repeat workout, but then when I tried to repeat it, I started the workout and I was just like, I can't. My
Yeah.
hands are messed up. So that hand care is key. It really is. You want those callus hands. You want your hands to essentially be able to endure the gymnastics volume and the barbell cycling that you're going to be putting yourself through, but maybe not the day before an open announcement, just because that's the fun of it. You don't know what's about to be mentioned. So I think as well, if you're at this level, managing your expectations, right? So like
Yeah.
understanding that if it is for fun, compare yourself maybe to someone else in the gym that you think you're about the same. But if they do beat you, it is what it is. It's a lot
Yeah.
easier to say than, because I so say for instance, the more we're talking about it, the more I'm getting inclined that I'm going to do this open. So I'm thinking, right, can I make myself conditioned in 3 weeks? But and I know if I do this, I will probably then compare myself to others, and I have to manage my expectations, because how can I expect after 3 weeks of preparation to perform at my best and beat peers in the fitness industry? Probably
Exactly.
not, but I'm hoping my experience might come in and hold me up a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah. Well, those are the factors that you do need to consider, right? Is what's your training going into the open been like? How much CrossFit have you done? Have you prepared all the various movements and built them up progressively over time? Or have you been doing a bunch of other training like you have? And it's then slightly unrealistic to expect to be able to give your best possible performance. The other things you need to consider are your experience. So
Yeah.
this is a argument in favor for you doing well. If you've had a lot of CrossFit experience, you should expect to be better than somebody of equivalent fitness who hasn't had as much CrossFit experience. So going into the workout, and when you're estimating how well you're going to do, have a think about all the various factors at play. Like, have you just had a kid? Like, how much like sleep are you getting? All those sorts of things will impact your ability to score well in the open. And for the majority of people, I think the realistic eventuality is that you leave a lot on the table. You're always going to come out of the workout thinking, I could have done better,
Yeah.
and I'm pissed off about it. And I think something that's underappreciated in CrossFit is it's a massive skill to be able to effectively empty your tank and to give your best possible performance in a workout. You can't expect, it's not like, I don't know, something like running a 5K is simpler to give a fair representation of yourself. If you've
Yeah.
done a few 5Ks, you kind of know what it should feel like, you know how to pace it more easily. Because the nature of CrossFit is unpredictable, your ability to perform optimally in an unknown workout is much much reduce unless you're very experienced at the sport of CrossFit. So you want to go into each workout expecting that you're going to feel a little bit frustrated, but almost revel in it. Just think that was cool because I learned this about myself. I learned that I actually can't do that set size. I probably should have broken it up earlier, or I should have gone slower here. You take those learnings, and that's how you build your experience. So I think that's probably my top tip psychologically for people going into the open is have an honest appraisal of what you've got a realistic chance of achieving, and then expect to have some regrets as you come out of the workout, because like I say, only the very best will be able to perform a near perfect execution of a
Yeah.
workout that they've done before.
Yeah, because I guess it's then important to take a step back, right, and look at your particular situation, like you're basically alluding to there. And if you get sucked into other people's essentially performances and like all the stuff that's going on with them, maybe the things that they failed on or really broke down on, you could just start getting like caught up in that. And then
Yeah,
it not only does that like impact your performance because you're thinking, fuck, if he found it hard or she found it hard, must gonna find it even harder because he's or she's better than me. It's like, well, no, maybe you are actually a little bit better at performing that under stress. So
yeah,
that could have been a skill that you didn't realize you had. So I think it is making sure you have a big picture view of what's going on of your, like as we've alluded to there, about your expectations. Have that
yeah.
big picture of understanding what is it you want out of this performance today.
Yeah, that's a really good point about looking at other people as well during the workout. That's another common mistake you see is unless you know the person next to you very well and you know their strengths and weaknesses, so you train together all the time, you're only going to mess up your own strategy if you pay too much attention to somebody else. One, you're not focused on your own workout, so you're not listening to your body as much as you probably should be. But you don't know what that person's strengths and weaknesses are. You don't know how fit they are. They could be going way too slow or way too fast compared to what your target pace is. And it's such a common thing you see in the open that somebody sees the bloke next to them go unbroken, like, oh shit, I should go unbroken. And then they redline 90 seconds into the workout and they're just dragging ass for the next 19 minutes. So I think not paying attention to other people. Having said that, I'm going to contradict myself a little bit here. If you are going second or third in the waves
Oh
in your
yeah,
class, you can learn a lot
yeah.
from watching people's
Never go
workout.
first. If you have an opportunity,
Yeah,
don't go for what someone else suffer and learn from their suffering.
exactly. Yeah, because you'll get great feedback on how they fall apart, essentially,
Yeah,
because everyone falls apart in the open. Like probably 90% of people will go too fast too soon, and you can see the drop off in
yeah,
performance. Like their round one versus their final round always looks very different. And so if somebody started doing sets of 10 toes to bar, for example, by the end they're doing singles and doubles, you know they should have started with smaller sets from the start.
yeah.
And those sort of learning points I think you can get from judging somebody else and watching. So take that opportunity if you get the chance.
Yeah, it's a little bit cheating, but it's definitely what all the coaches do, especially when you're coaching the early classes and watching. Because even if you may be more experienced at CrossFit or whatever, and you're expecting to perform better, it's still interesting to see breakdown and also to
Yeah.
see at what points of the workout, and then also makes you consider things slightly differently. And this is then kind of leading into our next point of making sure you get a coach to help you decide whether like to scale the workout. And
Yeah.
what that scale means is it could be scaling the weight, the movements, or whatever to actually get the correct intensity that's desired from the workout. Or it could be scaling it to your ideas of what you was going to do. So you might say, well, I was going to do those sets of 10 toes to bar. And this coach is saying, no, you need to scale back here. You need to be thinking, maybe do sets of 3 to 5 at a push and be consistent, because watch what you've done in previous workouts and so forth. And they might have they should have a more experienced hat on, and they're also not looking at it through an emotional lens. They're looking at it quite a pragmatic, like coaching lens. So it means they have experience, they understand what it feels like. They've seen your current like capacity and say, this is where I believe you are, and this is where I think you should go to. Now you can obviously listen to the coach, or you can say, fuck that, they don't know what they're talking about. I'm going to go my pace because I know me. And then boom, you're on the floor and the coach is just standing there smiling, just like, I told you to go slower.
Yeah, yeah, that is what happens 90% of the time as well. But that's how you learn, right?
Yeah, it
So,
is, and this is.
um,
I've actually tried to really make a conscious effort to, like, I feel too often as a coach, I feel a little bit like I'm holding people back because I'm saying
yeah,
to people, I think you should go slower than you think because you've got a 20-minute workout ahead. Do not go out at a 1:35 on the rower because you're not going to be doing 1:35 in 15 minutes time. So why not go say 1:45, 1:50 and get off the rower every single time feeling fresher so you can actually perform the other stuff, the stuff that counts
yeah,
with intensity. So like, and it kind of all leads into one of our other points of going slower than you think because these 2 points link really closely for me because like I remember the workout that you coached me through and made me do small sets of like toes to bar, and it was Tom Lowe was doing the other workout at the same time, and he fell off a cliff because he was the big sets, and if I would have went to his kind of pacing, I would have been fucked. But because
yeah,
you kind of guided me through it and stuff like that, so I listened to the coach, I listened to how it should be done, and I trusted that performance. I got to the end, and then I was able to empty the tank going into the
yeah,
last round and a half because I knew what I could still hold on to.
yeah. That's exactly it. You can't win the workout in the first few minutes, but you can certainly lose it. That's the easiest way to think about it. And I can't think of many times ever, having looked at tons and tons of people do tons and tons of workouts, where somebody's gone way too slow. Like if you, we say this is a point we hammer home in that How to Win Workouts episode, but if you start slow, you can go faster later and make up the time. But if you start too fast, you have to go so slow that you definitely compromise your score. So if you're slightly under pace, like if you imagine that 5K analogy, if you're running slightly below your pace, you can pick up the pace for the last couple of rounds and you'll have about the same finish time. Like in endurance sports, they always talk about negative splits. You want to be getting faster as the race goes on rather than slower. And physiologically, that is what enables you to give your best performance. So if you're in doubt, you're probably better off going slower than you think because the adrenaline, the excitement, people always feel great starting the workout, and then it hits them like a freight train a few minutes in. It's like, oh shit, I went way too fast here. There's no way I'm hanging on to this. And at that point, you've ruined your score. Like there's no way you can undo the damage you've done in that situation. So yeah, I think that's for, yeah, probably 99% of people start slower than you think. And if you feel good halfway or three quarters of the way through, you can always pick up the pace.
Yeah, and for those that do want to kind of link back to the episode, it was episode 102. So, how to win workouts. It was for last year's CrossFit Open. So, it's definitely one that if you are looking to perform in the Open in some way, shape, or form, or even if you don't, you just want to listen to our voices again, head back to episode 102 and listen to it there. So, lastly, on this point, with I think if you're in that kind of realm of athlete, I think post open is probably one of the most fun parts, right? Because that is an opportunity for you to kind of look back on the workouts and say, okay, where are some of my weaknesses that I need to kind of build up for next year? What are some of the positives that I really think I performed well in that either I want to keep getting stronger at or fitter at and kind of maybe trying to get even better. And also the post-open party, right, where all the beers
Yeah,
get cracked open and everyone just relaxes.
yeah, exactly. Like if you've been taking it seriously and yeah, optimizing your performance, then definitely let loose in the post open party. And like Rob says, it's a great opportunity to see where your CrossFit game is at because you will get very clear data on where each style of workout ranks you. So maybe you scored really highly in the barbell workouts, but the gymnastics ones you didn't,
Yeah.
for example. So you know where your strengths and weaknesses are, and there's not really a more representative visualization of how good your all round overall CrossFit game is than the Open. Because I think, especially in recent years, now that we've got this Open then quarterfinals formats, the tests are quite well balanced in terms of representing what CrossFit fitness is. So whenever I start working with a new athlete, I'll look at their Open scores to build that picture, because you can see the trends over the years as well of like,
Yeah.
what was that workout, how well did they rank, why were they so much better in this workout versus that workout, what are the common themes that you can pull from high ranking workouts and low ranking workouts. So use that as data to think about planning your next season. And then I think a common question would be, how do I adjust my training immediately post open? And it depends how much it's taken it out of you. If for you, open workouts were a huge stress on the body, and that's not just physical, it's mental as well. If you've been like in competition mode for 3 weeks, stressing about it a lot, you'll probably be quite depleted after those open workouts, especially if you've been repeating the workouts. So you might need a little bit of a deload and an off season to focus on recovery, because if it's been the peak of your year, intensity has been ramping up for a few months going into the open. So you want to give the body a chance to recuperate, bring the stress levels down, and that's the perfect time to start planning how you're going to build for the next season. So whatever that might be, whether it's doing a strength block or a gymnastics block or a movement mechanics block, if you're having some sort of imbalances or niggles from competing, that's a perfect time to reflect and think about what your body needs next.
Yeah. And then lastly, if it's your first open, first of all, good luck. If it's
Yeah.
your first open, enjoy it. It's going to be really hard to not take it too seriously. Like we've kind of been talking all the bits above, because there's going to be so many people taking it probably more seriously than you think. The whole room's going to be changed. There's going to be lines all on the floor. It's like, it's not what you're used to. So it's going to be very easy to get caught up in essentially the pressure of just
Yeah.
like, fuck, this is serious. So we say try not to take it too seriously, but we get it. You will, but it's what you have to try and take it as is as it is. It's a test. It's a test
Yeah.
for you to see where you are, like Ash said in the previous bit, and seeing where your current levels are on certain areas. You know, the first workout is probably going to be a bit more aerobic and a bit more, say, longer duration. So it's quite simple for everyone to do. So normally CrossFit try to make sure they get more and more sign-ups. They say, oh, I could do that workout. So everyone gets
Yeah.
in. The second workout tends to be normally a heavier style workout, which is normally a bit of fun. And then like last year, the third workout was then when the gymnastics come in, the one that actually butt fucked everyone that couldn't do CrossFit. Is like, fuck, what are this, toes to bar, chest to bars? It's like, oh my god, this is
Yeah.
different. So
Yeah.
it's like, expect that. And if this is your
Yeah.
first open, listen to your coach and the people around you that maybe have done it before, and like maybe choose the scaled option, even if it means in the second workout you don't scale it. It's fine. Like because you're not planning on getting, well, probably not, but you shouldn't be thinking about the quarterfinals maybe at this stage. That you want to think, okay, this may be an opportunity. I'm going to try and get the intended stimulus of the workout, which is say a 20-minute aerobic piece where I'm continually moving. And then vice versa, like maybe actually you just need to go a little bit slower and break earlier, because the coach has told you this is what's happened normally with people, this is what we've seen in previous classes or whatever. So if you're not in the 6 a.m. Dummies or the 6 a.m. What do you call it, 6 a.m. basic experiment, where you get to see how the
Guinea pigs.
the guinea pigs,
Yeah.
that's the word, because they're the ones that everyone gets to see how it goes. So
Yeah.
maybe don't go to the 6 a.m. class and you'll be sweet.
Yeah, I think the structure of the workouts is a really good point, in that there's always a separator workout. So as Rob said, the first one, they definitely make it as inclusive as possible, so as many people can get involved and pay their open registration fee. But as the competition progresses, that's when the separator movements come in. So things that you either can or can't do. So it might go like, the classic thing is to do toes to bar, pull ups, chest to bar, muscle ups as the workout progresses, so that people drop off if they don't have that movement, to essentially reward people for putting the time in to work on their CrossFit skills. And this is where you make huge leaps up the leaderboard, because you have a bunch of people who can do pull ups but can't do chest to bar. You'll have a bunch of people who can do chest to bar, can't do muscle ups. And if you have been putting in the time to unlock those skills, you get rewarded here. But if this is your first open, you should expect to come up against that wall. So if say you've done a lot of training but not a lot of CrossFit training, you'll be limited by having those skills in your locker. So you'll be expect the frustration of, I'm annoyed my workout ended here because I couldn't do this movement. And it's kind of set up for that reason to
Yeah.
motivate you to then unlock the movement for next year. So that's another area of expectation management to have, especially for newcomers. I like what you said about leaning on the coach and more experienced people. And I think the key area you can benefit from this is in judging. So for people new to the open, it'll probably be your first judged workout, which can feel quite daunting because somebody's watching every rep and hopefully holding you accountable to the movement standards. But I think it's a massive opportunity to add value either as a coach or as another member. And my advice for judging is that 99% of people need to be calmed down. Like
Yeah.
most people will be frantic, frenetic, and racing out the blocks. So your job as a judge is just to say, look, chill out, doing well. Don't get too overexcited. You still got 19 minutes left, and basically just give them
19
some sense
minutes.
checks. Yeah,
Yeah.
give them some sense checks to say,
Yeah.
make sure you're breathing. Before the workout, ask them what set sizes they're going for, and just give them a few things to focus on rather than just getting in the hurt locker as soon as possible, which is what most people will default to. So if you're able to regulate somebody into the even splits that we talk about a lot in that How to Win Workouts episode, you're giving them the best chance to actually empty their tank, because the perfect execution is working just below threshold until the last couple of minutes, where you then crank it up and finish absolutely fucked. That's how
Yeah.
you get the most out of your body. And if you're the classic pitfall for coaches and judges, is being like, come on, you can do it,
Yeah.
pick it up, like go again, 3,
Yeah.
2, 1, go. And you're basically pushing somebody over threshold way too soon in the workout. So then they drag their ass crawling
Yeah.
over the finish line rather than sprinting over the finish line. So if you're an evil judge, you can do that. But if you actually want the best for the person you're judging, you've got a great opportunity to help them achieve that,
Yeah.
especially for first timers, because I've seen some amazing first timers who are very good, very fit. Like I can't remember what the rep scheme was last year, but in that pull-ups, chest to bar workout, I was watching a guy doing it who was incredibly fit, and he did probably genuinely the fastest butterfly pull-ups I've seen, bar none, like faster than games athletes. He was basically pushing himself down so he could go again, and his butterfly is absolutely lightning. And he did everything unbroken. And his judge needed to stop him because he was like genuinely. I'd love to have timed his set of 21 because it was like probably
Yeah.
about 15 seconds, and he fucked his workout because of that. And if he had a judge who had some experience, they could have just said, look, break. Like, I know you can go unbroken, just take some breaks,
Yeah.
or at least between movements, take longer, because he was going immediately into the next movement. I think it was thrusters or front squats, like all unbroken again. And just like, your tank is very close to empty already, and you've got a
Yeah.
lot of work to do. And it's just pure inexperience. Like, he could have probably knocked minutes off his time or got like tens of reps further through the workout if he hadn't messed up that execution. And as a friend, judge, coach, you have an opportunity to get that person a much better score. And yeah, he ended up dropping to singles and everything. It was painful to watch, but I think if you can help somebody with that, then it's a real value add.
Yeah, it's painful to watch, but I think from an onlooker, it's also quite entertaining to watch someone completely empty their
Yeah,
tank and too early. So only
yeah,
because I've done that on many occasions, and I know I'm just standing there, just like sweat pouring down my face, mouth open because I can't close my mouth. I'm just fucked. And I'm staring at a barbell, and someone's saying, "Pick it up." I'm like, I can't. And I tried to pick it up, and it's like a 40-kilo bar, and it just doesn't work. I'm just
oh
like, oh
yeah,
fuck.
oh, yeah.
So, and then that kind of leads me to like when you're in that state, it's really easy to not focus on form, and you end up just doing stupid shit. You like run into the wall for a handstand push up rather than your normal technique because you quickly got to get the last few reps, and you end up then fucking yourself up, getting injured, and then that's the end of your open. And then
Yeah.
potentially you're training for a good period of time, and hopefully that's it, and then you recover. But we say this from experience. Like I've done myself in. Ash, you've had quite a bad experience, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. So um, in this situation, it's when injury risk is highest. You're trying to perform to your absolute maximum, give everything you've got. And especially if you're new to the open, you're probably doing movements that you're not that familiar with, trying to maximize your performance and score as highly as you can. And under massive fatigue, doing new movements with a strong competitive pressure is almost like the perfect recipe for losing your technique and potentially injuring yourself. And I learned this the hard way in my first open, where I was absolutely gassed and had a minute to do as many handstand push-ups as I could.
The set
In that
55.
55.
Yeah, I remember that workout.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot. I think I've told it earlier in an earlier podcast, but I basically come back from a ski holiday and it felt like my lungs were half the size they were before I left, and came off the rower so disorientated and gassed. And I'd never done handstand push-ups before, so I was trying to do them for the first time, and I could do them, but I was starting in a headstand rather than in a handstand. So I did a few reps like that, got no reps. And like, because I was upside down and standing, like flipping up and down, I couldn't really listen to what my judge was telling me. And basically I then figured out I needed to go into a handstand and drop down. But because I was then short on time, I was just dropping on my head as hard as I could because it was on a mat. I thought that'd be fine. And then banging out reps as quickly as I could. And I ended up slipping a disc in my neck, which can be very serious. It was bad, but not like career-ending bad. But essentially, just to put it in context, I lost strength in one of my arms for quite a few weeks. I also had rhabdo from the next week's workout, which compounded the learnings. But it was quite worrying to realize that you can do some quite significant damage. So I always make that point when I coach handstand push-ups, is that you don't want to drop on your head hard, because it's the top of your head is not a load-bearing surface, is what I say. And especially for that sudden impact with your full body weight jolting through your spine. And this is the area of CrossFit where we need to be most careful, because the temptation is highest to get sloppy, to bang out ugly reps, and you've got to question whether it's worth it. So you're probably better off scoring a few reps less and looking after your neck and not going through that sort of ordeal. So that applies to everybody, but particularly first timers in the open. Just be conscious of your risk appetite as to how much you're willing to lose for the sake of a few more reps.
I think if I was doing the open, I'd really hope that they pushed the handstand push-ups to the next level, just because again, it's like when you then get to not saying that people that aren't at quarterfinals can't do them, but there are so many movements that you can challenge them with, that just the injury risk is less. So that, because you either just can't do the movement or whatever. So if you put the handstand push-ups in the level where you're at the top 10%, so people are going to be performing at their utmost best. Don't get me wrong, I guess obviously that you want to be learning the skill of handstand push-ups anyway, so that's why it's a good test to have them at that level. But it's so easy for people to get caught up in things, and even if you're relatively experienced, sometimes you are just going in too fatigued and not thinking, and you do hurt yourself. And especially because as you are tired, you know your bracing's off, as you do lower yourself down, rather than having a slight control, you are just dropping and compressing yourself. And it's like, even when you're relatively good at them, doing a bunch of handstand push-ups does do your head in. Like your traps always feel a little bit more engaged, everything's just a bit sorer, and it's because you've been bloody upside down hammering your head against the floor for like 50 reps. So it's like, of course. So, but I think today's, we really want the takeaways from today to be to understand that if you are really serious about the CrossFit Open, that you should make sure you're gliding through this, the Open. You shouldn't be thinking too much about it. You should be in that safe 10%, and that if you're trying to get to that 10%, as you call them, like the bubble athletes, making sure that you do peak it and take it relatively seriously, because you're going to need to repeat the workout. So you're going to need to make sure you're filming it anyway, breaking all your splits down, understanding, and also trying, before you're reviewing a video personally, thinking about what do you think before you even look back went well, what was bad, because then you also get the internal feeling rather than just what was going on, because then you might actually be better than you think. And I've learned that from like powerlifting, like watching a bar speed compared to how it felt were two different feelings. So it is really good to see. And I think if you're the other 90% or 85% that decide you got to understand how much does this actually mean to you. Do you care about where you rank? And then you should probably act accordingly, right? And if it's not too serious but you want to do well, then take it seriously enough that you're not going to fuck yourself up. But if you just don't, you're like, well, enjoy it. And lastly, obviously, if it's your first open, have fun, chill, and just enjoy it. And most of all, I think as our final point there was, just make sure you're safe. Like, you've got
Yeah.
another year's worth of training ahead of you. Don't fuck it up just because you did some stupid shit that you probably know you shouldn't do normally.
Exactly. I think that's one of our consistent messages, is basically just be clear on why you're doing it in the first place. If you're a competitive athlete, then compete,
Yeah.
and your risk appetite will be higher. The way you approach workouts will be to maximize performance. If you're a general fitness enthusiast and you're not competing, then just focus on the fun side of it. Use it as a test. You can push yourself a little bit harder than normal, but at the end of the day, that's not why you're going to the gym. And this is sort of the lesson I learned in doing my neck in from handstand push-ups. It's just like, why am I doing this? I'm not an elite competitive athlete by any stretch of the imagination in CrossFit. So why was I so desperate to bang out a few more handstand push-ups? It's actually made me less fit because I'm now
Yeah.
injured. I'm having to take time off.
Yeah.
I'm having to take movements out of my training and change the way I do things. So it's actually counterproductive to what I am going to the gym for. So I think having that critical review in advance of the open to think, what am I hoping to get out of this? Where does it fit in my life priorities? And if it's your job to perform in CrossFit, then be a professional. But if it's your hobby and you're doing it to be generally fitter for life, then treat it appropriately.
Yeah, so awesome. Well, we really hope today's episode has helped you with your CrossFit Open. If you are doing the CrossFit Open, good luck. As always, thank you very much for listening. Please do share with anyone that you think this will help, anyone that is doing the Open, or just share it in general, because you don't know who's looking at your Instagram stories and stuff like that. So we'd appreciate the tag. And if you do want to support the podcast, you can head over to YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as always, thank you very much every single week for tuning in. We really do appreciate you, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, guys.